We talk about team, and team is important. In fact, team is essential, but team is no longer enough. In fact, if we're going to be successful in the future in today's world, which is already here, we're either going to be a team of teams or we're going to pay a huge price for not being that.
Called one of America's greatest warriors, 4-star General Stan McChrystal commanded U.S. and international forces in Afghanistan and served as the leader of Joint Special Operations Command.
Well, I grew up in a world where small teams were key. You took great soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and you forged them into these cohesive, very effective small teams. But then when we got in Iraq in 2003 and 2004 and started losing the war, despite these great teams, we learned that that wasn't enough.
And what we realized was that traditional model of the organization we were looking at didn't exist. It wasn't what Al-Qaeda in Iraq was. It's not what ISIS is now. They are a 21st century manifestation of the fact that things have changed. And it's pretty important for us to realize, because as good as we were, as elite as the small teams of SEALs, Delta Force, Rangers that I had in my organization, in reality, we were a traditional hierarchy. We were a good one, but we were a traditional hierarchy, the kind we grew up with, the kind our parents were familiar with. And what we needed to do was become completely different. We needed to become a loose, constantly shifting network, one that operated more akin to a human brain than it did a mechanical machine.
He is the author of New York Times bestsellers Team of Teams and My Share of the Task, and known for successfully taking the military's bulky, incommunicative bureaucracy and transforming it into an agile, adaptable network that dramatically turned the tides of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq.
As we operated within our organizations, it was important to keep information in the silos within the organization, particularly only give information to people who had a demonstrated need to know. But the question often came, who needed to know? Who needed? Who had to have the information so they could do the important parts of the job that you needed? And in a tightly coupled world, that's very hard to predict. It's very hard to know who needs to have information and who doesn't. But what we found is we had to change. We had to change our culture about information. We had to knock down walls. We had to share. We had to change from who needs to know to the fact that who doesn't know and we need to tell, and tell them as quickly as we can. It was a significant culture shift for an organization that had secrecy in its DNA. So now a picture of me as a 4-star general standing over a map. I mean, that's the iconic picture. General's leaning over a map. He's going to move people around, going to come up with a great plan and win the war. But in reality, the generals don't win the war anyway. Anything you move on a map isn't real. It's only young soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that are moving around. And it's very gritty and real on the ground. And they have to do it, and they will do it if you create the right environment. It's a human business.
Legacy we want to leave behind us.